Raptors fans, Akil Augustine, Sherman Hamilton, Paul Jones previewing the next matchup for your Toronto Raptors, and it is the Atlanta Hawks. And Landry Fields, a former player for Masai Ujiri, finds himself in a familiar situation. A roster that's got some really good pieces when you think about Ice Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, but unfortunately they find themselves in a similar place in the standings. Two young teams in this Eastern Conference who thought they would be there with the Pacers, maybe ahead of the Pacers, ahead of the Knicks, haven't found that success. But let's focus in on this Hawks team and what the Raptors need to do against their roster in order to get back on the winning side of things, Jonesy.
Well, they got to defend.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at a team in Atlanta that they get up and down.
Yeah, their plan's not to out-defend you. It's to out-shoot you.
Yeah, and they get up and down. They shoot it. They're powerful on the perimeter when you talk about the likes of Trae Young, DeJounte Murray. You think of a DeAndre Hunter, people like that. They play this kind of new wave, new style that the NBA is looking for. And we talked about earlier the Raptors' defense. The defense has to be on. You've got to bring your game to score. I mean, Atlanta is one of those teams like in Indiana where your offense at times has to keep you in the games because they're not going to stop scoring. So
yeah, their pace is breakneck.
It is, and to me, it's about scoring enough, but finding a way to slow them down. And if you can't slow them down, at least make them work enough so the cumulative effect takes place later in the game.
They shoot a lot of threes, too. I mean, Bogdanović is a problem from the three-point line. You think about their ability to knock down threes. And then, with the pace that they play at, there's transition play. You've got to get back. And we saw the Raptors struggle with that against the Knicks. So a lot of what Atlanta brings, although they're not a physical bruising team, the stuff that they do are the things that the Raptors have struggled with. Defending the three, keeping the ball in front of them, and getting back in transition. So they're going to have their hands full with this Atlanta team.
If the Raptors are starting to figure it out, you'll find out against Atlanta.
Now, last year we saw a lot of this early in the season for the Toronto Raptors. You had an opponent in back-to-back nights. And for the Raptors, this is a very important stretch, right? Key stretch for them. And how difficult is it to pull off? Because we saw the Raptors split these games all last year. It's tough to play a team twice in a row.
I think it's tough. I mean, it's like, our producer Jake called it the baseball series, and it's true. It's like the doubleheader in baseball. It's tough to sweep it. That said, get the first one. And maybe you can kind of grind your way into a second one. I know why the league does it.
Air miles, leg miles.
Well, yeah, and
Right?
and I get it, but a place like Atlanta, it's a 2-hour flight, 2 and change, right? It's not like it's. But I get it. I get what they're doing. I get what they're trying to do. It's more like a playoff situation. So sometimes the split is almost inevitable, but get the first one.
Yeah, and I mean, the flip side to that is you're playing a team that you don't have to go through a major scouting report for the next game. You got to tweak some things like a playoff series. So there is some benefits to that. But I think in a situation like this, the Raptors really have to focus on themselves for the most part. They've got to understand that they're going to have 2 games against the same team where they have a chance to really work on some things and correct some things. And I think this opportunity gives them that based on scouting. Look, you play that team before the last game, you kind of know what you're walking into the next game. You don't have a whole new roster to deal with, a whole new style of basketball. You're kind of locked in on what they do.
Yeah, so it's easier for the coaching staff to say, here's what we did well last game. Here's the things we did focus on.
Here's what we
tweaked. And
tweak.
you can measure that.
That's right.
And to me, that's why I think it's important that you get the first one. Because if you do something and you get the first one, now they're on their heels. They're like, okay, we got to watch out for this. Now you can be ready for your next move. Okay, they're going to do this. This is our next move. I think the first one in situations like this is really important.
Well, the first one is Wednesday night coming to you from Scotiabank Arena. Sportsnet and Sportsnet 590. The Fan will have the call on TV and radio respectively. Tip-off 7:30. And we'll be back Thursday. That does it for us right now on Raptors Today. We thank you guys for watching. Deuces.